Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Tuesday, just ahead of a Canuck update from Rick Dollywall. Also Chris Faber down in Chris Faber.
Faber?
Yeah.
Who are you thinking of there?
Well, Michael Faber in Montreal. A lot of people get them mixed up.
Oh, I thought some
Chris
actor.
Faber and Michael Faber. From Canucks Army, he's going to join us in a minute. It is Tuesday, and all of our guests today are brought to you by the Bayside Oceanfront Resort. Bayside, excited to announce the launch of their new West Coast-themed seafood menu available in the Bayside restaurant. They got a new eggs Benny options, Rick.
Oh!
Hollandaise sauce.
The spinach on the side.
Yeah. Call now to book your reservation and mention Donnie and Dolly for 10% off your nightly room rate. Also, be sure to grab a Donnie and Dolly hat or T-shirt now on sale at the Bayside. Just before we get to Chris Faber, Canucks, Ian Cole, what's happening?
Yesterday, I said that a potential, don't be surprised. It was me saying don't be surprised if the Canucks, if he's a free agent on Saturday, Ian Cole, if they check in on him. I just said that. Elliot Friedman is now reporting the same thing I heard yesterday, that Ian Cole is a guy that he can see the Vancouver Canucks going after, potentially a 2 or 3 year guy for Vancouver. So I threw it out there yesterday. Don't be surprised if the Canucks investigate Ian Cole Saturday. Elliot Friedman reporting today he's hearing the same.
Chris Faber is reporting the same thing.
Chris Faber.
6'1", 225, big lefty, 34 years old.
Penalty killing. I told you guys on Monday, the Canucks with their free agents, Donnie, are looking at guys that can improve the PK. One of the best PK guys in the National Hockey League is Ian Cole. He has got a relationship with Tocchet, Rutherford, Alvin,
so
Clancy.
do you.
Hey, where did that come from? I don't know Alvin. I've never met him. I've never talked to him in my life, Don.
I saw him at a gas station in the East End once.
Really?
I didn't say hi. I don't know why.
Why? It is up to you to say, hey, Patrick, Don Taylor.
Is it? Ian Cole possibly coming to Vancouver. Chris Faber joins us now from Canucks Army. He's down in Nashville. Chris, my apologies on the name. How are you, sir?
Faber, I'm doing good, guys.
How you doing, Faber?
Hey, Ian Cole, by the way, ranked very high in our dog rating formula. So he's got that dog in him. He is a player that I would like the Canucks to target if the money makes sense.
Okay, what about, you mentioned the dog ratings, and great writing, by the way. Carson Soucy is another player that the Canucks have reportedly expressed interest in. What about him down there in Seattle?
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. I think the thing with Soucy is I don't expect him to get paid like a top 4 defenseman, but I mean, the right team might be offering him that, and I think that's what every team that is going to offer a contract to Soucy is looking for. They're looking for a guy who rounds out your top 4, right? He doesn't need to be a guy who drives everything, but penalty killing, right? How often do we talk about that? It's something that you need from your defenseman, and Soucy's a good example of that. Big body, long reach. Yep. He's good contributor to what your penalty kill unit kind of needs.
Look at this guy. The suit and tie. Again, not the suit and tie, but the shirt
good.
And tie. And you know what we have to do? That microphone is very impressive. We have to get him a Donnie and Dolly logo for that microphone. So
that microphone's huge. Yeah. Like massive.
We'll okay. We'll work on that. Is this your first time in Nashville, Chris?
This is. I think this is the furthest east and south I've been, aside from like California and in the States here. So it's been it's a different place down here so far here in Tennessee.
Yeah, I've never heard a bad word about Nashville, Tennessee. Hey, Chris, Canucks picking 11th overall. Ryan Backer, Sandin Pellikka, Vilander, Simishev, who was just on our show. Which highly rated defenseman should the Canucks be most interested in?
I personally think it should be Dmitry Simishev. I think the way that he skates, the way that he plays with the puck in the offensive zone, the way he defends and just swallows up to like the opposition in his own zone, he's really got all the attributes to make you think that this is the type of guy who could, and I'm going to disagree with Craig here. This is the type of guy who can be on your top pairing. He doesn't have to be the offensive dynamo like you saw with Axel Sandin Pellikka, the U18s. But man, if I would have seen, and obviously Russia didn't participate in the U18s, but if you watch Simishev get a chance to play against the players in his age group, especially 18 and under, right? Like he's playing in the U20 league right now with that junior league in Russia, also getting those KHL games. You put a monster like him against the other 17, 18-year-old kids, he would have dominated that U18 tournament, I think, in a similar way to, Sandin Pellikka and how he did.
Okay, so Patrick Alvin says he's not going to move up. They're going to take it at 11, the pick. They haven't taken a defenseman in 4 years in rounds 1 and 2, Chris. Is this the year, they finally take a defenseman in round 1?
Yeah, I think if Reinbacher or Willander is available at 11, I think that's the pick. And it'll be interesting to see what happens here in the top 10. I expect to see 2 or 3 defensemen go in that kind of 5 to 10 range, and it'll be interesting to see how it falls out. I think Arizona's probably pretty high on Reinbacher. I don't think he's going to get out of the top 7. And then from there, does a team at kind of 8, 9, 10 want to take a risk on Willander? I think that could be a real option as well. The wild card would be if somebody really likes Axel Sandin-Pellikka. And I don't love the player, to be 100% honest. I get what people are coming from, saying he has a chance to be a number 1. I just thought his decision-making in the SHL was very poor. He gets away with a lot in the junior leagues because he is that much faster and quicker than everybody in those junior 20 leagues. But you watch him in the SHL and he was lost. He's forechecking at times. He was, putting his partner up for a lot of 2-on-1s against. I didn't love the way that he played in the men's league, and that might just take some adjustment because he was very excellent. Looking at him in the junior leagues and as well as the U18s where he dominated there. But I think that's what I liked about Simashev was when he went up and played in the KHL, which I think is the second best offensive league in the world. He was able to stop guys. He was not out of position. He understood how to play in a pro league. And that's something that's really impressive when you're talking about just like the mind of a 17-year-old kid jumping into that role. I think he is by far the best defenseman in this draft.
Chris, local kids, there could be 5 potentially that go in round 1. Bedard, Benson, Wood, Crystal, and Dragicevic. You know what? It'd be nice if the Canucks took a local kid. When I look at Benson, I see him all over the map, anywhere from 5 to 15. But if he's there at 11, does that make you think if Benson's there at 11 for the Canucks?
Yeah, he's the type of player that I think the Vancouver Canucks, the way they're looking at this draft, you kind of hear it in some of the conversation we had with Patrick Alvin today, but they're looking for that guy who is a 100% for sure top 10 pick to slide out of the top 10. And that's where they're at 11. That's why the 11th overall pick gets moved so much, right? Like 2 of the past 4 years, it's been moved. It's a pick where everybody looks and like, hey, this guy's a for sure top 10 player. And when you look at Zach Benson, in my eyes, he is for sure a top 10 player, probably a top 5 skill player in this draft. You can make the argument that he's up there with Will Smith probably to be one of the more offensive dynamite players. And you're looking at this guy and you kind of look at him, and I think he has the trait kind of put on him of being a little bit of a boom or bust prospect, but the bust just doesn't feel like it's going to happen. It feels like this guy is going to hit and he's going to be a very effective winger. That's kind of the only knock, right? Like if he played center, seems to be all over this guy in the top 5. And, if he was 2 inches taller, same reason. But I think those things aren't going to hold him back the way that he plays. He's such a smart offensive player, just really knows how to control the puck in the offensive zone. And he just drives everything, right? Like I'm very impressed by Zach Benson. And he's doing it in the WHL. He's a local kid, grew up in Langley. So this crop of guys from the Vancouver area is just ridiculous.
Really nice.
I talked to Hoyt Stanley, who's a right shot defenseman out of the BCHL playing down there in Victoria. And he was just kind of growing up. He's like, man, it just makes everyone so much better when you're growing up with a crop of these guys playing minor hockey. The Vancouver Vipers is this minor league team or minor hockey team that they all played on together. And I can just imagine teams, when the Vancouver Vipers are coming into town and you're the 11-year-olds just about to run into all of these names out of Vancouver. So it's a great year for the Vancouver draft. Even my flight over here from Nashville, like the whole thing was just full of prospects. So it was cool to meet some families, some grandparents. Andrew Cristal's grandparents were on that, chatted with him a little bit. So that was kind of, it's a cool experience. But for the Vancouver area, they should be very proud of what that hockey, the whole hockey development for youth right now is kind of showing right now in this draft.
Yeah, what could go wrong with the Canucks picking a local kid high in the first round?
Okay.
Hey, we talk about local kids. This is not somebody who grew up here, but we don't hear a lot. And you look at the mock drafts, and he's up fairly high. We don't hear a lot about Samuel Honzek with the Vancouver Giants. What about him, Chris? Should the Canucks be interested in him?
Yeah, he's a monster, right? He's one of these guys that I think you'll look back at this first round, and I think Simashev will be in the conversation there for sure. But Honzek's going to be looked at as one of the most physical players picked in the first round. And depending on how you're kind of putting your team together, he could be a huge addition to what your middle six looks like. And I think he's not going to be a player who's going to take a lot of time to develop into that pro body. I mean, it looks like he already has it right now in the WHL. I think he's a little bit of a stretch for 11. So there's a lot of options. Like, I know Nate Danielson's the other name that's been rumored a lot with the Vancouver Canucks. And it's like these players around 11, you want to pick up that second round pick that you're missing maybe, and maybe make that trade down with Nashville, right? Like there's a lot of options for them there. And I think that'll be interesting if we do see some shockers in the top 10, like say Axel Sandin-Pellikka goes in the top 10, say Colby Barlow goes in the top 10. These guys, if they start going in the top 10, maybe the Canucks feel that there's 4 or 5 guys that they're pretty comfortable with at 11, and then they say, okay, well, we'll drop to 15 and we'll just take one of these guys that we're happy with. We pick up a second and boom, like you're starting to really make big additions to your prospect pool, which this team really needs badly.
Appreciate the tie and the large mic. Have a great time down there in Nashville, Chris. We'll get you back on the show.
Absolutely. It's been a good time already. So I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, but it's been good so far.
You can see it in your smile. Thanks, Chris. Outstanding.
Absolutely. Have a good one, guys.